Hello, my name is host Eric. I'm the host Talking with Famous People, and today I'd like to begin as I wait to see if others join us in GoToMeeting here by talking a little bit about what's on my mind, as I often do. And in this particular day, it is my divorce. And the reason it's come up again today is because while I say I'm divorced, I actually we just signed the papers today. So I mean, I knew it was coming, but for some reason, and very much to my surprise, it evoked a strong emotional reaction from me. So I've noted as I've moved away from the divorce that there have been occasions where I really feel the weight of it and find myself just literally sobbing. And that's not something I really normally do. I mean, I cry a lot, but that kind of like anguish sobbing is not something I do very much. I did a little bit of it today, primarily because I made this song/video that's super sad. And, okay, say I'm trying to win some kind of sadness contest, I guess. So, but I feel better now, and I think one thing that is really interesting is after I got all emotional, I got really tired. Thank you, Ellie, for listening to it. I appreciate that. And it was like my body had cleared out a lot of emotion or something. I mean, I guess that's the only thing I could have cleared out. I feel kind of that kind of good that you get when you've exercised a whole bunch and you feel you got all super tired, and then now you're clean and showered again and you're relaxing. That feeling, kind of, except from emotions instead of physicality. So that was good for me. I think everybody's got to feel those things sometimes. And for me, it doesn't happen all that often. When it does, it's really intense. It's not something I'm accustomed to, not something I'm good at doing. Living in emotions. One thing that came up a bit today was Candace and I aren't ones to fight anymore. I mean, no point in fighting once you're already done, right? But a little bit of conflict came up today because well, I feel as though sometimes that she wants to position this as in ways that like, I don't know, make it more mutual than it is, or make the blame for it more mutual than it is, or something like that. I don't know. But there's little issues of justice that persisted, and not for me to talk to her about it. What started that line of questioning, I guess, was I said something about needing to get a helper, and then she said something like, I don't know, I don't know exactly what she said. Then I said, well, yeah, it makes more sense to date one than to hire one. And she said something along the lines of, "Oh God, that's a like it was impossible to conceive of such a thing." So that annoyed me a little bit. But it's not like that thing itself was worth arguing about. But it unleashed a little bit. And it was the whole thing was very quiet. It wasn't, this is nothing, there's no argument. It was just, you know. Way back when, one of her big complaints was one of the big pieces of sort of evidence, I guess, or see, this Eric explains it all. This is why we got to split. Was this infamous wedding day where I went there for the whole day and it was awful and it was miserable, and she basically wouldn't let me mitigate things at all. Like she wouldn't let me do anything to have a little bit more, to find it less awful to be there, you know. I think her real point is, well, Eric, I don't want to be with somebody who finds it that awful to be there. My real point is, I don't find it awful to be there if you don't make me stay there 10 hours, you know. But if you do make me stay there 10 hours and I get a little fussy at the end, the focus should be on the 10 hours. But the point I made to her today was that when we returned from that thing, and she was like, "That's it. This is the straw that breaks the camel's back. That shows you exactly what your problem is." I said, "Yeah." And of course, if you look at it objectively, it's nuts, right? I mean, it's nuts. It was like, okay, so I want to bring this little red book in with me to the wedding. What's the big fucking deal? So I want to bring it to the reception. No, leave it in the car, and then, you know. Anyway, the point is, I made the correct point that she didn't care about me at all that day. Not even the slightest amount, right? The only thing she cared about was my conformity to her expectations and my facilitating her achieving of the standard that she had in her head about how this thing should play out, right? So I returned to that day because I think it was indicative of some persistent injustice in the relationship, namely that she was always making demands, and I was generally pretty receptive, and but she didn't want receptive. She wanted enthusiastic or something. I think I don't know. I definitely don't want to badmouth Candace. Candace is an excellent woman. She's a good woman. And I also felt as though there was some injustice that still had to be addressed, I guess. I didn't know I did, but I guess I did. So I brought that up today and pointed out, like, you know, the thing about this is, that yeah, by the end of this whole thing it was mutual, but you've been spending a lot of energy destroying it, you know. And as I told her back when I was trying to keep the marriage together, I said I can't both steer the boat to safety and have to jump into the water to grab you and pull you back on board periodically. I can't do both at the same time. So you're gonna have to either you don't have to row with me, but you gotta at least stay on the boat. But she fought against it every step of the way. There were always reasons why solutions wouldn't work. Never reasons why they would. Or might. Never reasons to try them. So, I mean, the thing about that is, of course, regardless of the reasons that she told me, it's indicative of a serious problem in the relationship. She just didn't want to be in that relationship anymore. And, you know, at that point, who could really blame her? I mean, there was a lot of water under that bridge. I mean, there's a lot of life history I didn't remember, for one thing. I was drunk. There was a lot of fighting and shit. There's a lot of fighting and shit at the end of the drinking, about the drinking. You know. And then I got sober, I guess. She just anticipated that I would not have certain traits of Eric anymore. And I think she was surprised when, in fact, I turned out to have, in a lot of ways, more of those same traits. And because, of course, now I was not drunk all the time, so I was able to do stuff. I was able to display myself a little bit more instead of just holing up in the garage trying to avoid Candace who doesn't yell at me some more. So I mean, I understand. It was broken. There wasn't any salvaging it. She wasn't equipped with the cognitive functions to deal with it, for one thing. But what with SI as her main tool function, forget about it. Not going to work, because what's her memories filled with? It's filled with an Eric that no longer is. It was a big ask. It wasn't really even an ask. That's the thing. I also wasn't saying, yes, let's 100% stay together. I was saying, let's fight for it for a while at least. You know, but she said, well, I went to therapy with you. I'm like, yeah. And then we talked about a couple things in therapy that were worth talking about, I guess. But the core of any injustice, I feel, boils down to this. I don't think she's acknowledging that her core value all along, being family, and that whole thing that goes along with it, that in order to, she blamed me for lacking in that area, that I didn't provide her enough in terms of like hanging out with her family and going to barbecues and all this other stuff that she wanted me to do. I offered compromises. She didn't want compromises. She wanted enthusiasm. So, you know, I think that at the end of the day, though, she didn't apply that value to herself when it got hard. What happened? So, I don't know. It was a difficult day. I feel a lot better now. And I don't know. I don't even know why it was a difficult day. It's been a year almost since we split. And it didn't seem to me like the signing of the papers is anything, really. It's just some government paperwork. It's not like it makes any difference. But I don't know. My heart hurt. Thanks for watching.